Grab your torches, web friends, because today we are going to shed some light on the world of darkness as we look at whatever happened to Wraith the Oblivion, perhaps the creepiest game I have ever played. And to help us on our journey, we're going to talk to the community manager over at Onyx Publishing, Ian Watson. I hope you enjoy. Tell me a little bit about what you think makes Wraith the Oblivion unique, kind of in the role-playing game world.
Was the edition you had the soft cover one with the glow-in-the-dark cover?
I think so.
That was great. I love that one. Well, that was certainly unique about it. It had a glow-in-the-dark cover.
Mm-hmm.
Of all the World of Darkness games, it was the first one which sort of took place primarily in a different world. It wasn't the world that we live in day to day. It was you live in the underworld.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really weird, sort of unique take on things.
Yeah, there's a lot of details from that game that really just stick with the gaming community. For instance, a lot of people remember that like the money, each coin in the game, each piece of currency was actually a complete soul.
Yes.
And everyone was so disturbed by if something was like $1.50, you would cut one in half, give them half of a soul, but then if they ever came back together, they would reseal into a whole.
Yeah. And if you listened very closely, you could hear them moaning and screaming.
Right.
It was really weird, but it was like really memorable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like all these details that struck at you, and sort of the architecture of Stygia, where they just kept on piling building on top of building on top of building because the laws of gravity didn't really work the same way. It was the pull of entropy more than the pull of gravity, which really mattered. A lot of White Wolf games are about something. Like you're not just playing a monster, there's sort of a deeper lesson there.
Mm-hmm.
Wraith was about passion, loss, memory, regret for things left undone. And I think a lot of people really sort of keyed into that as something interesting to explore. And in a sense, Wraiths exist because of their own emotion invested in themselves and their inability to let go. So they're sort of self-perpetuating conscious emotion in a way.
And so unlike some other games where if you complete your backstory quests, you get promoted, in this game you complete your backstory quests and that's one less reason for you to still survive.
Exactly, right. It's the only game I can think of where Wraiths actually, like, there were rules. This is what you need to do if you want to transcend, and when you transcend, that's the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Very few of the White Wolf games had sort of, like, it wasn't like this is how you have to end the game, but it is an option. You can strive for this, and once you hit it, that's it, you're done. Unfortunately, probably because it was so different, it didn't have the sales that the rest of the World of Darkness did. So White Wolf decided to cancel it in 1999. So they used an in-game event to do it called the Great Maelstrom. It was the sixth one. Every time something big happens in the real world, like say World War I, World War II, that causes a huge storm to sweep through the underworld. And this one was big enough that it essentially destroyed Wraith society as they knew it.
It just sucked everything in.
Right.
Gotcha.
There were still survivors, but as far as the game line was concerned, that was it. That was the end. But that event led directly into the events that started 1999's Hunter the Reckoning,
mm-hmm.
and 2001's Mummy the Resurrection, and 2002's Demon the Fallen. So the repercussions of that, it wasn't just a dead game line. It was like, hey, the ripples of this affect everything else. There was also a sort of combination reboot sequel with 2003's Orpheus, where players played members of a group called, fittingly enough, the Orpheus group, where they're sort of investigators who can project themselves as ghosts to go investigate or do things, and they have to deal with actual ghosts left over from the Maelstrom.
Aha, okay.
As of 2011, we brought back the classic World of Darkness with Vampire the Masquerade's 20th Anniversary Edition, and we've been working our way through them. And we're currently working on the 20th Anniversary Edition of Wraith the Oblivion. And that's going to be a 500-ish page book developed by the original developer, Rich Dansky.
Yeah, and 500 pages, that can take a little while. That'll be a coffee table book for sure.
Yeah. Vampire was 528, Werewolf's 20th Anniversary Edition was 550, and Mages is just shy of 700.
Wow, okay.
So we're not sure exactly how big this Wraith will end up being, but if it's only 500, that's actually going to be the smallest of them so far. The way we do our Kickstarters is the Kickstarters are specifically for deluxe editions. So even if the Kickstarter fails, which so far hasn't happened, but even if the Kickstarter fails, the book will still get made. Mm-hmm. We just won't have a deluxe edition available.
Okay.
Another thing the Kickstarters do is they allow production of a lot of, with stretch goals, we can do a lot more sort of side projects tied into the main one. For example, the Wraith Kickstarter is letting us do the Book of Oblivion. So that's going to cover Oblivion itself and the Labyrinth and Spectres and all that sort of thing.
Great.
And we can do, like, with the Werewolf 20th Kickstarter, one of our stretch goals was the Werewolf 20 cookbook. So this is an actual cookbook with a different recipe for each one of the tribes. So we can do some pretty weird stuff with the stretch goals that would never, like, on a normal production schedule, we would never be able to justify doing that sort of thing.
But that's right up the alley of, the super dedicated community that you have around the World of Darkness.
Oh yeah, like we've been getting tweets and emails from people who have, they've bought this book and then they've made one of the recipes for their game group and they absolutely love them.
Well, I had the opportunity to try alcoholic drinks that were each of the vampire clans.
Yes.
Like, the Toreador one was super sweet, and I think the Ventru one was like a really classic, like martini or something like that.
Yeah, our vampire developer actually wants to do like an official book of vampire cocktails.
Right, because they wouldn't eat anything, so...
Right, exactly.
And that concludes Whatever Happened to Wraith the Oblivion. This should be a lesson to other game companies out there. When you have a product line that is just not performing, don't just toss it. Use it to blow up the entire game world. If you liked what you saw, please click that like button. And if you'd like to subscribe for more content, click the little ghost. If you'd like to see the last video in this series, go ahead and click the Werewolf's Cookbook. Either way, I hope you remember to play like the dice are trying to kill you, because they are.